launching our first webinar today. Joining me on the panel will be Lindsay Hay and Haley Bear. And we've got some great stuff to share with you today and bring you up to speed on our current plans. This is our first webinar, so do let us know how it goes. We practiced yesterday with some of the teachers as our part of our audience, and that was helpful. But like all this Zoom stuff, we'll probably make a few mistakes today. But this may be a good way for our school to meet. So again, let me know how it goes for you on your end. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So we discovered this one yesterday, and this is where we'll be able to answer your questions. As I'm the speaker right now, I won't be trying to answer any questions, but Lindsay and Haley can see them coming in as well. So if you have any specific questions that you want to ask during this webinar, just throw them in the Q&A and we'll see if we can get to them all. We have the option of answering them on the screen. So if we write an answer back, you will see, and everyone will see the question and the answer. Or it may be that we can just answer your question live on the broadcast as we take turns today talking about all things Paragon. So question and answer button at the bottom of your screen, feel free to start using that one. We're not really going to use the chat function very much, but if you need to get hold of Lindsay or Haley or I, you can chat with us through the chat button on your screen as well. All right. This webinar is being recorded, so we will share the link with all of Paragon later on today. So if you have to take off, don't worry, we'll have it ready for you to listen to and watch later on. And I think that's all the housekeeping. So starting the 2021 school year, we have plenty of things to worry about this year. We've got the raging pandemic, we've got the economy, we got the Russians, we've got the Chinese, lots of things on my mind. One of the things I don't want you to worry about is Paragon. We are breaking up our school schedule into chunks this year. So our first mini term will start next Tuesday. We'll start online, which is our only option for the first mini term. And those 3 weeks are all I want you guys to worry about. How do we get our kids online? How do we help them have a good start to the school year? How can we get some good momentum going as we move into the other mini terms? So we can just narrow our field of all the worries in the world as far as school goes. We know when we're going to start. We know how we're going to start. We know where we're going to start. So nothing to worry about. The teachers have been working throughout the summer. We've done some fine tuning this week in our warm-up weeks. So we're getting better and better on our online delivery to you all. So, you know, we would love to come back and teach on campus just as soon as it's safe. So on-campus instruction is more our bag. We're good at that. Doing things online is 2 or 3 times harder for the teachers to do than it is to do it in person. So we are vested in a quick and safe return to campus. We're just going to have to watch the numbers and our advisors and figure out when it's safe to start bringing people back to campus. But that's certainly in our goals. So don't worry about that piece of it. We're working on that every day. We're setting up the pod rooms. We've got a lot of things in place already for our eventual return to campus. So that is definitely on the agenda this year. We're just not quite sure in which mini term we'll be able to pull that trigger. Paragon is committed to learning without interruption this year. We were so lucky last spring with our great teachers that we were able to, after spring break, not miss a single day of instruction. Certainly it was different and it moved to a new place, but we want the students to keep learning this year. So don't worry, that's our number one goal, whether we're in person here wearing our masks or whether we're online on Zoom doing assignments with your student. We want to keep them engaged. We want to keep them socializing with us and with their friends, and we want them to keep learning. So don't worry about that. We've got it covered. So our focus for the beginning of the year will be online learning. We'll talk about that today and ways that you can make that a good thing for your family. A little bit later in the webinar, we will also talk about some of our plans that we're putting in place for on-campus learning. So from next Tuesday, first day of school, until September 4th, those first 3 weeks, this will be the only thing to worry about, online learning and online teaching. So keep that in mind. Mr. Hathaway and the crew are up here. We're getting the building all set for you. So that will be ready to go when it's safe. All right. So that's the introduction today. Haley's going to talk to us about some teacher views of how things are going to go and how you can support your learner. But first, Mrs. Hay is going to take over and start telling us how we can set up our students' workspace and schedule for the upcoming weeks.
Hey everyone, Lindsay Hay, Deputy Head of School here. As we were discussing coming back to school, we thought it might be helpful for parents to kind of talk about ways that you can help your learners get started this year. We did a lot of trial and error this spring, and since I have 4 children and 2 adults in the house with full-time jobs, we did a lot of trial and error. And also through the 6th grade SOAR program that we do in 6th grade Drawbridge, I got a lot of tips along the way. So I thought that maybe I could help you just focus on what to think about in the next 3 weeks. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I made a little PowerPoint. So the first thing when your child is getting ready for the first day of school, the keys to a good day is wake up before class time. I know that seems like of course, a no-brainer, but I did have an 8th grader last year. Class would start at 9 o'clock. At 8:55, I'd hear his alarm go off. He'd roll over, he'd turn on his phone, and he was ready for class. That is not what we recommend. We recommend you actually get your kids up before class starts. Make sure that they have a good breakfast, eat something that'll help their brain get started. Another thing that teachers found that helped was changing into school clothes, actually putting on, it doesn't have to be, a suit and tie or anything, but sometimes just changing your shirt and changing out of your pajamas kind of helps you get ready for the day. Brush your hair, maybe. Some of the boys had some really nice bedhead that we did discuss later. So it might be good just to, get yourself all primed and ready for the day. Another pointer for a parent pro tip, is to set your alarm for when your kid should be on Zoom. I had to do this with my students because I had 2 that were on Zoom at Paragon, and I had to set my alarm so I wouldn't get busy working, and then it would be half hour after class started and I'd be like, oh, you're not on, just to kind of help get it started until everybody gets into a routine, is to set your alarm so that you can help them get ready for class. My next beautiful slide says, where is my student learning? Location, location, location. It's very important, just like real estate. Sometimes the best place for your kid to learn is in the center of the house, where you can keep an eye on their screen, where you can feed them, where you're kind of all around. Some kids, that doesn't work. Some kids, that's distracting. So setting up a place for your kid to learn and have their own desk and their own place for their computer, their own place for their schoolwork, all of that is really important because it really helps the kid know that, okay, now I'm in my desk for school and I'm learning in this spot. Table, it kind of feels like they're invading the space of the family and it doesn't quite help their brain learn as much as it could. So setting up a good place for them to learn based on your child's characteristics. So one of my kids needs to be in the dining room so I can watch what they're doing and make sure they're staying on task. The other one needs to be off on their own so that they can focus. Student school space. Make sure your kid has a desk or a table. The bed is not a good place for school. It might be comfortable for them, but it is kind of uncomfortable for a teacher to see your child in bed on their computer. It's a little weird. So let's make sure that they have a desk and set up an area. This is also a Paragon pro tip. Set up an area for your markers, your colored pencils, your construction paper, extra school paper, the hole puncher, the stapler, all that stuff. Make sure your kid knows where it is, because that way they're not going to interrupt you to ask, where's the paper, and then you have to go find it. Just go ahead and have a school central section that they can go and find all the supplies that they're going to need during the school day or for homework, or also extra binders, notebooks, that kind of stuff. All that can go in the same area. Another thing is, if your teacher, like the younger grades, you might have something that you need to turn in to teachers and that we'll be exchanging on supply pickup days. make a spot for that. Make an out box for things that need to go back to school. And then when your stuff comes back to school, you'll be able to just grab it and go for your next supply pickup day. For some of the classes, the younger classes, we will have packets for you to pick up, like especially for the younger kids who need to write things. So that way you can exchange and turn in papers. So having a nice place for that. Another thing is when a unit is done, like when you're done, you've taken the test, the papers are done, that section of the notebook can come out. Have an expandable plastic file that you can put all the stuff from that class in. So you don't throw it away, but it goes away. It's not in their space. So when they're done with the unit, you have a place for them to put those papers. That's a huge Paragon pro tip that I have used over the years, and it has helped me keep organized and help my kids stay organized. So if they do need something from the beginning of the year, they can find it. If you set it up now, it'll be so much easier as we go through the year. On my next beautiful slide, I have pictures of organizers. Now, you don't have to pay a whole lot of money. I feel like an infomercial right now. You don't have to pay a lot of money to organize your house. There is this picture of an over-the-door shoe organizer that you could put markers and pencils and stapler and all that kind of stuff. But make sure that you do have a place for it because it will help you in the future. Another pro tip, I have a beautiful slide that shows a student's schedule. So this could come in many forms. If you have a young kid, kinder, first, second, it could be pictures of what their schedule looks like, one after the other. There's this idea that you have like a little string and clothespins, and you have pictures of what they should be doing in order. Make a school schedule for your child that's age appropriate. For older kids, 7th and 8th grade, you know, a whiteboard with just saying when their classes are, what they should be doing, what you need to be working on, what should go after school, what kind of PE are you doing, that kind of stuff. Making sure that that's in a central place where they can see it, where you can see it. Another pro tip is having a family schedule. That has helped us immensely. I have 6 people in my house. They have 6 different daily schedules. Husband has Zoom calls, kids have Zoom calls. Having all that in like one area, it's like the home central base, and that's where you can go to see what everybody should be doing at any certain time. That was the end of this portion. Now I'm going to send it over to Haley, who is our Google guru. She's going to help you with Google Classroom and what you should be helping your child with Google Classroom and what everything will look like. Then I'll come back on and talk about Jupyter, and hopefully between now and then I can get my slides to work. Over to you, Haley.
All right, and I do want to add on to what Lindsay said. Everything that she just talked about really does come from the 6th grade SOAR curriculum, which is something we do with 6th graders every year. And it basically, you know, teaches them study skills and talks about why it's important to have all those separate spaces. And I'm going to be going over a lot of that with 6th grade this year at the beginning of the year. But obviously it was something we wanted to get out to you guys for the younger kids. Because this year learning remotely, all of those tips are going to be really helpful to make y'all's lives easier. Another thing that I am really hoping is going to make y'all's lives easier is Google Classroom. I've been a big Google Classroom fan for the past 7 years, and I've seen it go through a bunch of different changes, and I think it is going to be an amazing way for us to communicate with, for the older kids, it's mainly communication between parents and students, between teachers and students. For the younger kids, if you have especially pre-K through 2nd, 3rd, I think once you get to 4th or 5th, the kids might be able to take on some more of that on their own. But definitely for the younger kids, it's going to be teacher-parent communication. And it's really going to house everything you or your child needs to do remote learning. So it's going to have their Zoom schedule, the links to all their Zoom classes. It's going to have all of the assignments they need to do, when they are due, what their instructions are. And for most of us, it's also going to be a way to turn in those assignments digitally so that we're not emailing a bunch of different emails to a bunch of different teachers. It's going to house all of that in one place. And there's a bunch of really awesome tools that are going to help you and your kids stay organized. And so I'm going to go through some of that. I do have a slideshow, so I'm going to see if mine works. Hopefully I'm going to be able to share. Looks like Looks like mine's fine. Sorry, Lindsay. Don't know what your problem is. Okay, so I have this slideshow and we will share this with you guys because it does have little tours, little like 1, 2, 3 minute kind of tours of Google Classroom to help you with all of these things. So the first thing obviously is logging in. Unfortunately, Google Classroom does not have an awesome parent portal on its own. It really is geared towards older kids, like middle school, high school, where it is just teacher-student interaction. So to kind of get around that, what we're suggesting and what we're really encouraging parents to do is log in with your student's email. Now, there is a way for you to sign up to get parent or guardian summaries every week, but as Lindsay will tell you, they are very not informative. Basically, it just says what your kid didn't turn in that week, and there's not much more information on there. So if that's okay for you and your kid, then that's fine. A lot of those older kids, 6th, 7th, 8th graders who are very on top of their work, very organized, and have all of those executive functioning skills may be able to handle their Google Classroom all on their own. So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about logging in and doing this is definitely for the younger kids. If you are going to be very involved in your students' remote learning because your child is younger or because your child just needs extra support, that could be the thing too. There's going to be a lot of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who need extra support from their parents because they usually get that extra support from us as teachers where we're able to check in on them. Hey, are you missing this assignment or whatever? And they may not have that from us since we're not in person with them. So to log in, you're going to log in with your student's school email and password. It is the same formula for every student, or it should be. Now, I know that some kids, when they get in initially, especially the older kids, like to go in and change their passwords. So if you try to log in with this info and it's not working, please contact Lindsay, Carrie, or even myself. We have the ability to reset that password to this formula. When I talk to the 6th graders especially, I really imprint on them that this account is owned by the school. So it is okay for you as a parent to access all of this information. It's okay for the teachers to be able to get into their email accounts, and we can do that. It's not thought of as like a private account. So if older students do want those private accounts, make sure you're talking to them about that, and that should be parent-led. So there is a little video here on how to log in, but it's super easy. You just go to classroom.com and you put in your student's school email and password. First name dot last name at nice.paragonprep.com, and then last name and their 6-digit birthday, so 010101. And I am also going to pull up for you and kind of take y'all on a little tour of Google Classroom here in a minute. Especially these tools. So when you get into Google Classroom, the best thing for you to be looking at as a parent is going to be the to-do list, or the my work list is what I've been calling it. And this is basically going to show you what your student has to do. And if all of the teachers are using this correctly, which I've trained the teachers on it pretty extensively, it should have all of the assignments, all of the Zooms that you need to be doing. So hopefully y'all can see this screen. Dave, will you give me a thumbs up? Can you see Google Classroom? Okay, cool. So this is what the home screen looks like for a student or a parent when they first log in. And this is what a setup for an older student is going to look like. If you have a younger student, your student is just going to have one Google Classroom. So you will just need to go to that one 2nd grade Google Classroom, and you should be able to navigate everything within there. For the older kids, because they have different teachers, it is split up into different Google Classrooms, and it's a little bit more for them to manage. But for every student, they should have access to a to-do list. So in this menu over here, if you click on to do, these are all of the assignments that I as a student have to do. So I know I have a Zoom meeting on Tuesday at 1:30 for PE. Same on Wednesday, same on the 20th. And it looks like I have some English work that's due next week. And I can see exactly what that is. And if I click on it, it's going to take me to the assignment itself. And then if you want to know just specifically for one class, the work that you have to do. If you go to classwork, you have a view your work page, and this lists all of the work that this student has for English. And it says if it's assigned, which means it's not turned in, if it's been returned, or if it's missing. So those are two really great tools to help your students stay organized and know exactly what work they have to do, if it's missing, if it's been graded. All of that information is all going to be housed in Google Classroom. The next slide is the calendar slide. And so this is going to take you to kind of a guide on Google Classroom. This is the same thing that I've been saying. So it's basically just another tool for your student to help keep them organized. It is connected to like the Google Calendar app. So if you use Google Calendar regularly, you can choose to get signed in with your students' login and like activate that calendar on your Google Calendar, and all of the assignments and all of the meetings will get imported. It might really gunk up your Google Calendar. So if it is the Google Calendar is something you really rely on every single day, it might be a little too much. Because, you know, once we get into the week, and so already we can see PE has added in their Zoom classes, art has their Zoom classes. And then once the week starts, they're going to see all of their Zoom classes for the day. They're going to see what time they're at, and they will be color coded by class. In addition to that, they're also going to see all of their assignments and everything like that. So this calendar is going to be very busy. Everything is going to be on there. But if your student is a visual learner, and especially with the color coding, it can make it really easy to just go and see, oh, I've got 2 assignments for English I need to turn in by Friday. You can also filter by class. Again, for younger students who only have one teacher, your art and music and PE will all be housed in that same Google Classroom. So you're not going to be color coded. If you are K through 2, you're going to have the same color, but the calendar will still set it up in boxes like this. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you guys? Okay. So, and the older kids are going to be really good at marking things as done and turning in, but I did want to give a brief preview of this for parents, again, especially for younger parents. If you feel like you are going to be in charge of taking your students' work and getting it to their teacher, maybe it is like Lindsay said, you have a packet and you'll drop it off. But I know that even the younger kid teachers are planning on training their students to do some online stuff, you know, maybe 1 or 2 assignments here or there. The process for that is all housed in Google Classroom. And once you go to an assignment and you open it, there's this menu over here that says add or create. And then once you do that, once you add something, it'll say turn in. And the things you can add on here are PDFs, documents, Word documents, pictures, literally anything. So if it's a worksheet and you took a picture of the worksheet, you can add it on here to turn it into your teacher. For older kids, if it's like an essay or a document that they typed on, then they can add it here and turn it in. On here, you can also send a private comment to your teacher if you had a question about that specific assignment. You can also add class comments and ask questions to the whole class. Like if you weren't sure about, oh, where's the link that I need to use? And then the class can help kind of crowdsource the answers for that sometimes. And I am also going to talk about how to do this from the Google app, which for younger kids, I think is going to be the best, easiest way for you guys as parents to turn in the work for your younger child. And I will get to that, I think, next, yeah. So I can't show you the app on the webinar. This video is kind of a screenshot of my phone as I navigate through the phone Google app. So definitely if you're interested in that or you want help with that, take a look at that video. But everything you can do on the desktop is what you can do on the app. So, you know, you can look at the calendar, you can look at the to-do list, you can look at anything that's coming up, you can look at assignments. And then you can also add or create at the bottom of an assignment. And there is an option once you pull up that add option on the assignment, it connects right to your camera. So if you are turning an assignment in for a younger student and they colored a worksheet or they hand wrote a worksheet and you just need to take a picture of that worksheet to get it to their teacher, then if you have the app and you're logged into them, you just pull open that assignment, open the add button, take a picture of it, and you're done. I also would recommend, especially for the older kids, getting the Drive app. The Drive, Google Drive and Google Classroom connect. And so if you have anything that you need to turn into your teacher, you can alternatively upload it to the Drive, and then you can access it from your computer or your phone, whichever one. And then I know that a big issue for parents last year was trying to navigate how do I know if I have 2 kids at Paragon, how am I able to like navigate all of this information? And the best answer is to have both of their accounts have logged in, and in this top right hand corner where you see, it might be their picture, but it also might just be their initial. You have their different accounts that you can switch through. So like I have both of my Paragon accounts here, and this one I set up as a student, this one I set up as a teacher. It opens both tabs, and so I can quickly go from class to class, or from student to student, and see those in 2 different tabs. I could pull open both calendars and view both calendars if I wanted to look at that, or both to-do lists. Basically just having both of those accounts logged in and switching through them is going to be the best way to do that. That you can also do that in the app as well. You can keep both of those accounts signed in and quickly just click on either one to get to the one that you need. A kind of off-topic recommendation that I have is to download Google Chrome, which is what the students are required to use Google Chrome with all of their schoolwork. The older kids are, so highly recommend Google Chrome. And then just use Google Chrome for like all school stuff. So like my school emails are all logged into Chrome. And then if I do need to use like a personal email during the day, I use Firefox or Safari. So that I keep all my school stuff in one browser and all my other stuff in another. And that might also help you stay organized because you know Chrome is going to be for Paragon stuff. And that's where you stay logged into those accounts and you never have to sign out unless Google logs you out for some reason, which it does periodically, I think, for security reasons. Everything that I just talked about is, again, all on little mini videos on this presentation. So we will get that presentation to you guys at some point, emailing it out or posting it on the website. I know that all of your teachers are ready and willing to help you, especially with their specific expectations for Google Classroom. There are some things that every teacher at Paragon is going to be doing the same, and that is posting all of their Zoom meetings on the calendar, posting all of their assignments. There might be some preferences for them on kind of how to turn in an assignment, if it's a PDF or a picture or something like that. So if you have questions, please reach out. And just as a note from all teachers, please reach out to us more this year. Don't hesitate to ask questions. We're all in this together. This is teamwork and it makes the dream work. And we need you guys to communicate with us probably more than you're used to doing. So, and if your teacher doesn't know the answer to your question or whatever, please reach out to me. I'm kind of the Google Classroom guru this year. I love Google Classroom. I think it's great. So reach out if you have questions, and I'm more than willing to help walk anyone through anything if I can. And I think that's my spiel.
Thank you, Haley. That was really good stuff, especially since I've been on Google Classroom for a while, a couple years now, since my kids have gone through Paragon. It is very helpful to actually get a refresher, especially managing those to-do lists and those calendars. So it's very helpful. Dave was able to pull up my presentation, which is great. 3 programs that parents need to know how to use. Zoom, because your kids are going to be on it. We're going to be on it. We're going to be using it for webinars like this, for parent, like our parent night, conferences, things like that, will most likely be on Zoom. So Zoom is one program. The second one is Google, Gmail, Google Classroom. The third program that we'd like for you to know about is Jupiter. And so Jupiter houses our grades and our attendance and our behavior. So fun having computer difficulties. I'll send this out so you can see it because I worked really hard on it. Okay, so Jupiter will have your students' grades, attendance, and behavior. If your student gets, we have what you call an honor, which we love to give out. That's us bragging on the kids that they've done a great job. Or a setback, where maybe they had a little hard time in class, things like that. So Jupiter is the third trifecta of the programs that we need. So the next slide, Mr. McGrath, please. He's like Vanna White. He will release the next slide. Here he goes. How do I log into Jupiter? Here is this is the sheet that I emailed you guys earlier today. If you have any problems logging in, you can contact me or Carrie Jones, but we'll definitely help you. We can reset passwords and stuff like that. The next slide is how to explore Jupiter. Once you get in, so I use my child as a guinea pig. She is a first grader this year. You click on the little circle with the lines on the left. So you'll sign in and you'll see all of her classes. You'll see all of your child's classes. You can click on those classes to see what their grades are. You can click on them to see you know, if they've been absent, you know, any of those things. But if you click on that little circle with the lines in it, it'll give you a lot of options. And those options look like this on this one. So there's a to-do list, which we use Google Classroom, so that to-do list won't have anything in it. But messages, if you've gotten any emails from teachers, it has a list of all the classes. And then if you go down here, you'll see attendance, behavior log, directory. So behavior log, which there is right there. See all this fancy slide stuff I made? Behavior log is where you can see your child's honors and setbacks. The next one is settings. So if you go back here, you see there's directory. If you want to send any of the teachers a message and you don't quite know what their email address is, you can click this directory button. It has a picture of us. It has our contact info for all of the staff. And then down below directory is settings. If you click the settings, here's another Paragon Pro parent tip. Go to settings. It gives you this menu. This helps you. I had to black out my student's ID number and email address because I don't want you guys to email her. But it'll say your student, and then if you look at the notifications there, you can get emergency alerts, messages, like when the teacher sends a message, it will come directly to your text message. You can get it on your phone. You can get it on your email. You can also get down here behavior alerts and absences. Now, I didn't really use much of that. I mean, most of the kids here are so good, you know, you don't need to get really a behavior alert. The thing that I used for my son last year, he was in 8th grade. I had Jupiter send me every Friday his grades. And here you can say, always send me grades every Friday or any day you want. Send me the grades, or only if maybe they have a C or lower, or only if they have missing assignments. And that way, Friday at 3 p.m., I would get that email and it would be the worst weekend ever for my child. That is a really great, no, I'm just kidding. It will be the best weekend because your children will be making wonderful grades and you can brag on them and it'll be great. But I loved that grade function because I used it a lot just to kind of have like an idea of what the next week will look like. If my student was absent and there's missing assignments, that email will show you how many missing assignments you have. And it's very helpful. That is the end of my Jupiter situation. So I would go back to Mr. McGrath, who is now Lindsay Hay. And I have some pictures to show you, so I can continue sharing or I can stop sharing. I'll let Lindsay Hay drive it from here.
All right, here's the new Lindsay Hay coming to you live from Miss Bear's room. We're having a nice time today. So we're going to talk a little bit about the return to campus, which will occur at some point in the future. We're looking at so many different numbers. Fortunately, I'm in contact with TEA, all the heads of schools, private school in the Austin area. Like the rest of you, I've got all the dashboards pulled up on a computer screen every morning. So we are finalizing our formula of numbers we need in order to feel safe in coming back to school. So we'll have that to share with you a little bit later on. Most of the schools that I'm working with are finalizing their list next week, since we have our 3 weeks where we know we're all going to be online learning. So that is underway, and I will get that information to you soon. Another reminder for you all, flu shots are very important, as are the other immunizations that the state of Texas requires. So in all of the communications that I'm doing, they keep telling me, shout the flu shot, make sure everybody gets all their appropriate, so that take care of that. We don't want to try to fight a war on many fronts this year. We just want to fight the corona battle. So get your flu shot as soon as you can, get it for your kids, and let's make sure that we have that immunity coming on board, as well as your regular immunizations by age. Mrs. Hay is in the process of getting that information from you all. So if you haven't sent in your latest doctor's visit, please send that to Lindsay. Otherwise, she'll be reaching out to you to make sure that we have all that in place as the state requires. We've got a plan up here at school. We've got a handbook that we've been working on all summer, and we've had some physicians weigh in and help us with. So I shared that with you earlier today. So that should be in your inbox, the Paragon manual for how we're going to conduct classes on campus. We have a lot of different rooms that we're setting up as our pod rooms. I'm not quite sure which pod room will go with which pod, because it will depend on how many students are coming back for each pod and how many are going to remain online. So Mr. Way and the crew, we're setting up some special rooms. Miss Hay, if you've got some pictures of that. I know we were downstairs yesterday in the Burchett room setting up, and then we've got SAP Hall being set up. Lots of cleaning supplies here, lots of, this is kind of fun. Mrs. Hay's daughter and I did a film on the many entrances of Paragon. So we've got 11 different doors that we can come into. And the idea is that each pod would have its own independent entrance and exit, its own bathroom or bathroom stall and sink. So students would come and go through one door that led directly to their pod room. Unfortunately, we won't be able to let the parents in this year. The idea is to keep as few people on campus as possible. But lots of different ways into this new wonderful place of ours. And we made poor little Corey go into all those doors. So big round of applause for our actress, Corey Hay. So this is one of the pods we set up the other day. We're taking over different parts of the church. The congregation here isn't planning on starting back anytime soon. So they are letting us use rooms that we don't traditionally use. This is a room called the Burchett room that you might have seen on the first floor. Usually it's full of a lot of big furniture and it's used as a meeting room. But we were able to take all that out, clean everything down, and put in our own desks and stools and smartboard. So you can get a little view of what a pod room might look like at Paragon right there. And it has its own outdoor entrance and its own bathroom associated with it. What's next, Mrs. Hay?
The other pictures are on my computer. So we did have cleaning supplies. I have those pictures on my computer. Our janitor, Angel, has been working hard all summer, cleaning every inch of everything in this school. And so I have pictures of his cleaning supplies. He actually somehow got the whole supply in Austin of Clorox. So I have a very proud picture of that I will email out as well. And he is cleaning every inch of every desk and every surface in this school. So he will be ready when we do reopen. I don't have the picture on this computer though, because it's yours.
Okay, so that's our photo tour today of some of the pods that we've got set up. One of the other plans that we have is setting up some outdoor classrooms. we were fortunate to have about 100 extra desks that we were storing at the Koenig Lane campus. So we brought those over. And as soon as the weather cooperates, our plan is to set up different areas in the parking lot, in the areas around the outside of the building, where teachers and students can do classes outside during the day, in addition to their pod rooms. So again, these are plans that we've been working on all summer and plans that we're going to continue to perfect while the students and teachers are working hard online in the coming 3 weeks. All right. So I think we've covered most of our topics today. We still have a few minutes left to go. As you probably saw, today is the first day for school supply handout. So starting at 1 o'clock today, I think until 3 o'clock, we'll be standing out front. We've got bags and boxes and everything ready for you all to come and pick up your students' start of school year supplies and textbooks. So we're getting excited for that. Ladies, if you want to take a look at the questions and answers, it may be that there's some of these that we can answer live.
There is a question here. Did I hear correctly that flu shots are going to be mandatory this year? Would you like to answer that one?
No, they're not mandatory. Flu shots are always optional. It's just a big push from the CDC and from all the educational organizations that we belong to, that this is the year. If sometimes you get a flu shot and sometimes you don't, this would be the year to go ahead and get one, but that's not something that we are mandating.
Another question that maybe Ms. Baer could help answer, will you be delivering the same content in distance learning as you would in a non-COVID situation?
Yeah, I was trying to think about how to answer that one. I think the right answer is we are certainly going to try our very best to do that. There's obviously a lot of things that come, the way we deliver content is going to be very different. For example, in my classes, we do a lot of group work and discussion and things like that. And so I'm figuring out ways to do that on Zoom. If we get into the situation where we're in classes and on Zoom at the same time, there's going to be a lot of challenges for teachers. So please be patient with us on that. I know all of the staff is very committed to our students' education, and especially to giving a rigorous curriculum and one that challenges the kids. And we know that most of our kids are itching to exercise their brains and explore and do all of these things virtually. So we're definitely going to try. I also want to be, as a teacher, I'm trying to be very aware that all work is homework right now, right? We're all stuck at home doing work inside on the computer. So for my classes specifically, I'm trying to be aware of that and make sure that I'm not sending home hours, or not even sending home, right? Like, I don't want the kids to have a bunch of extra work to do at that same table that they've been at all day after they log off their Zoom. I very much want for the end of the school day to be the end of the school day for them, so that they can use the rest of the time to be more active and be off of their screen as much as possible and things like that. So that's going to adjust, I think, a little bit, at least in my classes, how much we cover this year. But definitely, the critical thinking, the rigor, the depth of thought, all of that is going to stay the same. And I think that that's true across most of the teachers.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Baer. And just to say too, being an administrator and a parent, and I'm going through this with you, this warm-up week was an eye-opener for me, having 2 kids on Zoom, and pretty soon I'm going to have 4 kids on Zoom at the same time during the same day. So please reach out to us. We are here for you. If you have questions, if you're getting frustrated because you can't get into some website or something, let us know. Let the teachers know. Let us help you, because we're in this together. We are partners in education right now. And we're all working towards the same goal, which is to educate your children and keep everybody sane and not crazy. So please reach out to us. We are here for you. We actually do need to run. This is the end of our program. So any closing thoughts, Mr. McGrath? If you have a question that we didn't answer, please email us and we can answer it directly to you. I'm sorry we've run out of time, but we do have to get ready so that you can pull in your car in the driveway and we can give you all the wonderful materials the teachers have been assembling for you.
Yeah, one last one here about school supplies. Some folks are new to Paragon and didn't get a chance to order through our online service. It is still possible to order through that service. So if you followed the link through the school supplies, You can click on your order. They will send it to you to your house. They will bill you independently.
Know that.
The only downside to it is they don't always send you the name brands. When Mrs. Jones puts in our order early in the summer, she specifies exactly what kind of scissors we want, exactly what kind of crayons. When they take an order after that time, they fill the order as they see fit. And sometimes I think they substitute some lesser expensive things in for what we would have preferred for the kids to use. So the other option is, take our list, go over to Amazon and punch it in over there and have it shipped to your house that way. That's just a tricky thing for new folks that they give us a deadline early in the summer when our orders have to be placed.
It was like July 7th. I missed it too. And I even knew it was coming up. So I get it.
Yeah. And then we'll try to there's several other questions that have rolled in here, and we'll try to answer those one off as soon as we can. So we're going to be out on the front porch. If you want to drive by, we're going to get our gloves and masks on, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys through the car windows. Thank you so much for tuning in. And again, let us know if this was helpful to you, and maybe we can do some more of these as we get going on the school year. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Bye.